I don't have a dog, but I saw everyone else had a dog in their thumbnails, so I think my cat should suffice. Anyway, the Six God Drizzy, October's very own, dropped an album last Friday for all the dogs, and it's probably one of the most anticipated albums for this year. It's been pushed back like twice, but I'm just happy it's here. It's a long album, around 23 tracks long, just about an hour and a half, and I'm not the biggest fan of long albums, but hopefully there's good enough music here that I won't notice the runtime. So yeah, let's discuss it track by track.
You put some pain in me, I wanna get back to the major league. She wanna grab on the
Drake has a reputation of having some of the best opening songs in an album, and here it's about as good as you'd expect. The production is great, it also has a Frank Ocean sample, and lyrically it's just Drake stuff, women and lifestyle. Now the bars and wordplay on this album I thought was really funny and entertaining, but sometimes he just oversteps. It doesn't ruin it necessarily, but he just overdoes it. He's gonna find out that it's on site like www. On site like it's .com. Like on top of it already not being the best bar, the .com part was just like unnecessary. But I'm just nitpicking. Overall, it was a good first track.
pray until you find amen.
Teezo Touchdown is on this track, and on my last video, which was a review of his debut album, I gave it a 1 out of 10. It was fucking awful, but here, this nigga is phenomenal. His singing was fantastic, he kept everything together, he didn't overstep. He was low-key the best part of the song. As far as Drizzy, he raps about Drizzy things and stuffs of that nature. Like, only Drake can say something about you being my baby, so I gotta put you in the crib, and I'll think it's funny because it's Drake. It's the character that we've come to know over these years that makes it less corny coming from him than it would be coming from a different rapper. Like, if Kendrick said that line, I might shoot that nigga personally, but it's Drake, so I'm gonna let him carry on.
I'm the king of my city, I'm the one. Swear you can have me, you really wanna win.
This track was kind of disappointing because we've seen this duo come in really good from before, that here it's just not as good. 21's feature is really mid. He comes off as someone in a relationship that's been together too long. He doesn't want to continue, but he's doing it just because. But Drake actually switches up his flow, and it's honestly kind of fun hearing him try different styles. However, there's this bitch, and I use that term strongly. No need to worry, ladies, I'm a feminist. Tampons and pads should be free. But this bitch is complaining for 2 fucking minutes. 2 fucking minutes. It's some of the most privileged shit that I've heard. She's complaining about not being flown out in first class, and that she's tired of eating jerk chicken and oxtail. Like, who the fuck complains about that? I don't support violence against women, but sometimes you just gotta Tory Lanez a bitch.
Make me wanna cuff you like the law. Girl, you make me wanna work you like the job.
Fear of Heights is kind of decent. In the beginning, he's speaking about someone who everyone is taking as a diss towards Rihanna because he says auntie a lot. However, I'm not really sure, so I don't want to speculate. Also, he has a line here that reads, I know you a cat, but can your pussy do the dog? Which I can only imagine is a reference to the Cramps. Other than that, I really can't figure out this bar. But then he goes on to say, my niggas are crazy, wallahi. This nigga is really a chameleon of cultures. His flow and cadence on this track is great. You can really feel his presence. Even when he flexes, it's cool. He might take you on trips, he might have some hits, but not more than me, which you really can't argue with.
Shot him in daylight. Shot him in daylight.
Daylight opens up with a few lines from Scarface. Drake comes in with a lot of energy, standing on his business, and that led to a weird interaction on Twitter. Basically, Drewski, popular comedian, made a reaction video with one of his songs from Could Have Been Records, a fake record label, a fake song that sounds similar to Drake's song, basically saying that, he beat him to putting out the record, lighthearted stuff. And Birdman responded to Drewski saying basically that, he would come up missing if he continues to play with Drake's name, which could be a joke, but knowing how corny Birdman is, I doubt. The hook might make for a good concert experience. I think just seeing a bunch of white teens from the sub singing Shot 'em in Daylight would be fucking hilarious. And even Adonis makes an appearance here closing out the track. I thought it was pretty cool. And that coming from me means a lot because I hate kids. Anyone that knows me knows I hate spiders, I hate racism, and I hate kids. Like, I'm 100% pro-choice. I hate kids so much that I would probably donate to school shooters. But yeah, hearing Adonis rap with his dad was pretty enjoyable. Thank you, Pusha.
Oh, me and Drizzy, this shit like the Super Bowl. Man, this shit done it big as the...
This might be the best song on this album. I would have never expected a Cole and Drake track to be as hard as it is, but this shit's fucking wild. Like, even when Drake does Drake things, go ahead, say it then, who the goat, who the goat. That shit's kinda hard. But my only gripe with this song would have to be with Cole's verse because he chose to address YB. For those that don't know, a little while ago, Yachty and Cole did a track and YB thought that J. Cole dissed him. But I don't give a fuck about YB. Who gives a fuck about YB? I just think when meaningless beefs like this are addressed on great tracks like this, it takes away from the longevity. 10 years from now when I'm listening to this track and YB's on Love and Hip Hop, I still won't give a fuck. Besides that, Cole's verse was actually really great. He mentions him, Kendrick, and Drake being the current top 3. The Spider-Man meme was fun. Also, everyone calling him when their shit's not connecting because his features are really unmatched. Even the Russia Cranium bar I thought was really hard. And then the beat switches and Drake just ups everything besides that sardine bar. But honestly, I thought he had one of the hardest lines from this album on this song, which was, "I'm one away from Michael, nigga, beat it." Which is just fucking insane to think about. So many people wish they can be compared to Drake. He's arguably the biggest of our generation, not inclusive of Taylor Swift. But now, our biggest is going to be tied with the biggest artist, Michael Jackson, for the most hits by a solo artist. That's just incredible. This song should definitely be another hit, regardless of what Old Man Joe has to say. No one is currently touching Drake. And that back and forth wasn't even necessary.
I don't know what we call it on. I don't be giving no fuck. I say wherever I want.
I don't give a fuck with Yeat is a miss for me. Maybe I'm just too old, but I really can't get into his music. Firstly, it takes about a minute before we get any sort of rapping, and then Yeat is Yeat, and Drake's verse felt like it just flew by. On my 5th or 6th listen of this album, it kinda grew on me, but my feelings are still mixed.
No leash inside.
7969 is another track that I'm sort of in the middle with. It doesn't build into anything, it only has that Chief Keef sample going for it, and Drake doesn't bring anything here to keep me engaged at all. And about 3/4 into this track, it just abruptly changes into Teezo Touchdown sounding like a bad church choir, and then Snoop Dogg starts narrating. It's really all over the place, but Snoop Dogg is the real MVP of this track.
You got my mind in a terrible place. Whipped and changed you like.
Now, when this track was first released, I thought it was really mid, maybe even bad. But after many more listens, I must say it has grown on me. Drake's singing I thought was fucking awful. Like, who approved this? Like, when he sings A, could have killed myself. But I sang this song in the shower, and I hit that same note equally as bad, and for a split second, I felt like Drake. SZA was really amazing as well. I thought she may have even outshined Drake, but then Drake comes in on the later end of this track rapping, and it's really fun.
That you're not for me. Hey.
Bahamas Trip I thought was cool. I like the piano chords and the overall melancholy atmosphere of this track, and also Drake's singing is quite nice.
Been giving anyone that you dealt with, no badge of honor, no self.
Tried Our Best is just part 2 of that last track, and I know by now a lot of people are like tired of the Drake bars, but it's just so fucking funny to me. Like, obviously it's not his intentions, but corny Drake has grown so much on me that I look forward to it. We in the club with your gay friends always put you on a straight flight. You think you Shakespeare, that's why you always want to play, right? These are just Drake things that only he can get away with.
To die.
This track doesn't really go anywhere. I think this track, as well as the past 2, doesn't do much to switch things up, so it does feel a bit stale. It doesn't even have enough Drake bars to keep me entertained minus that Charlie Brown line, but other than that, I can kinda do without it.
Laughing, are you jacking them or jacking us? When you ride around a 6 girl.
Things finally pick back up with members only. The production really shines through. PARTYNEXTDOOR's contribution was just great. I love his cadence, I love his flow, it's just mwah. But fuck Messy though. But I think this song might have the funniest Drake bars on the entire album, which feel like I'm bi because you're one of the guys. And I know I can have us both coming at the same time like Jinx. My eyes were in fucking tears the first time that I heard this shit. It was just so fucking funny. Like at this point, you just gotta commend the effort that he puts into this character because this isn't a real person. No real person thinks this way.
Bunch of sedative hypnotics in my system, okay. Life is going just how I predicted, okay. Dropping
What Would Pluto Do is one of the catchiest songs on this album. I think outside of the singles that he released, this might be another song that gains traction. I wish he had a feature from Future on this song and also developed that okay ad-lib into like either the hook or the bridge. It's just really fun to sing along to. And well, you have the slide in your box like a vote type of lyrics. I just think had he expanded on that okay ad-lib, he may have had another hit, but I don't make music, so I don't know.
Shorty, now I tried to Eddie and she had all the party. Teezo with the
This song was disappointing, mostly because that Chief Keef feature was so small. Like, if you lose attention while listening to this song at any point in time, you just might miss it. And the ending of this track is just so fucking corny. At this point in the album, I don't want to hear another man make puns about dogs. Roof this, roof that, like, I don't give a fuck.
Slavian, formalist a dress code, dog. So many checks owed, I feel Czechoslovakian.
8 AM in Charlotte is that song that is on that same level as that Cole track from earlier. His biggest mistake was releasing this track as a single because it sets this expectation which he doesn't meet throughout the entirety of this album, and only few songs are on this level. Like when I was laughing earlier in this review about the Drake bars, it's because I know if he wanted to, he can make a track like this, and clearly he can. The wordplay, the bars, the cadence, nothing is corny. It's just great from start to end. This just might be one of the best solo Drake tracks that we've gotten in a while. There's a lot to dissect in this song, which would just make this already long video longer, so I'll link to a YouTuber who I think does a great breakdown of this track.
Can I feel one? Can I feel it? Can I...
They say love's like a BBL. You won't know if it's real until you feel one. I don't know how you could not like Drake.
Baby, my this is from Casablanca.
This is the worst song on this album by far, and I'd still unironically listen to it. Drake accent here feels almost racist. It sounds like Santino trying to do a fancy impression. Like, I don't think you understand how funny this shit is. And then the beat switches and his accent changes again as he says Minawa Olivia. Like, honestly, I don't understand how people can hate on Drake. He's just too fucking funny. It's like a bad SNL sketch, but thankfully Bad Bunny comes in and saves this track. But wow, this is a bad song. I would probably even bet a few years from now that this would probably be on the soundtrack for like a Fast and Furious movie.
Breathe. Shake that ass, bitch. Hands all you need. Hands all you need.
This is one of my favorite tracks on this album. Like, when it starts, you think, how can Sexyy Red fit on this song? And then she just comes in and steals the spotlight. Like, she just completely raises the energy. Drake is Drake and SZA does SZA things. But Sexyy just has me in this trance. The hook makes me feel like one of the baddest bitches out, but her verse is equally as entertaining. But for the first time on this album, Drake manages to completely turn me off from wanting to listen as he says, "You ain't even know how to suck it right, I taught you right." I just feel disgusting hearing that. Like, ew, what the fuck was that?
It's about on proudly now from the 6. My dog, you lucky ignorant from the bricks.
Whatever this Mandela effect has people thinking that Yachty is a great rapper has not reached me yet, so I can still safely say that he's trash, well, at least on this song. The most memorable thing here was him probably talking about Billy's boobs and what may be a shot to that Bobby chick. And Drake, why would you think it was a good idea to address that Millie Bobby Brown situation? if you didn't do anything, just don't speak on it, because the way that you come off is either guilty or sensitive.
I remember days in the east with the bros watching Tristan and DeVoe while they running up the skull. I remember.
Away From Home is an interesting track that sees Drake being introspective about his life before fame, the struggle, the come up, and him not really letting go. So when Joe Budden says that he doesn't want to hear Drake making reference to streamers and instead see his music mature for an older audience, which is a fair point, at the same time, Drake in his earlier career, all he did was seek approval from older heads, which he just never got. So why the fuck would he change now? He found his groove, his style, this sort of fast food rap that works, and he's now currently the biggest. He also name drops Michelle Obama for some reason, but yeah. Polar Opposite, I feel like, is a weak closer. It's just the same shit as before. You know, women, him pandering, but it's just like really half-assed. Biding Time With You, then things got political. This guy. But yeah, that was Drake's For All the Dogs, and it's a solid 7. I thought it was cool. It was a really interesting listen. One of the funniest albums that I've listened to this year, and it had a couple of hits. Now, couple of issues. This album is way too long. Cut down some tracks, cut down the bloat, cut down some skits. It's just way too much. Also, that repetitive nature of Drake, I just need some more serious songs, because your serious songs actually come off really well. There's only so much times I can hear the same rendition of this same track that it just isn't entertaining. But if Drake decides to put out a comedy album, I would be 100% on board, because again, this nigga is absolutely hilarious. Now, a lot of people will rate this album lower, rightfully so, but I'm entitled to my opinion, so are you. Like, that last Kendrick album was good. Did it make me cry laughing? No. I like both albums just for different reasons. But yeah, my highlights would be ADM and Charlotte, The Rich Baby Daddies, and First Person Shooter. Yeah, those are my top 3. But honestly, really enjoyed this listening experience. Those are my thoughts. You can let me know yours. Please form your own opinion. Links to this album will be in the description. Thank you for watching, and bye.